I'm Karol. I work for Macolab. Currently, I'm a senior quality and security engineer, and my specialty was always the automation of everything, and not only the testing. But last 3 years, I really loved the work with security. That's why I dive into it pretty deep. And I've spent countless hours. I counted till 1,050 to 500 hours, and I had past these 3 years. But Donald Trump called me and said, "Stop the count." So I stopped counting, and even spending so much time, and that was the time after the work. I'm still much more like Jon Snow. I still know nothing, so I'm still working on myself. But I think that is a good foundation for exploring more. Okay, so I think we can start. I will give you one hint. I will have some questions during my lecture. And I really appreciate if you will be active to answer those questions. Those will not be and shouldn't be too hard. So I'm counting on you. And let's go. So first of all, let's get to the title. How to QhAck is the title of the lecture. And QhAcking is our word that we were working on today. And first of all, let's get this out of the way. Yes, this is a play of words. I merged quality assurance with hacking, and there is a first question. And first question is, from the hacking perspective, how ethical version of hacking is called? Do anyone know? It is popular. That's right. Perfect. Can you? Perfect. Thank you. Please join me after the lecture.
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. The next one will be to microphone.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. I merged towards quality assurance and hacking. And that is not only a buzzword. I wanted to merge it because from the hacking perspective, we'll take solid technical skills, we'll take out-of-the-box thinking, we'll take malicious mindset, and from quality assurance, we'll take domain knowledge that will be our superpower, and also the creativity. And by this marriage, I think and I believe that in the future, the QA might be even stronger, even with the AI in mind. So with QhAcking, with QhAcking, there is also a mindset change, because we are not only quality assurance engineers searching for functional and non-functional bugs, but we also will search for vulnerabilities inside our solutions. And that is something that I think will be a common thing in few years. And we have a unique position to do that. Why? Because you are, as engineers inside the SDLC and then software development lifecycle, you have so much time. You have 3 months, half a year, few years to know your system, to know your application well. And that is a big, very big thing to have during anything that you do with the system, especially the security. And from the perspective of external teams, so let's look into perspective of pen testers or external AppSec engineers. They will not have so much time. Your engagement will have like 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, and they will hop into, draw the scope, go into as much into the system as they can, into that little time frame, and produce. I'm sure they will produce a lot of good things, but that is a little. That is not much time to have, and I'm not saying that we will be redundant to it. That we have to clear our expectations. This is not a substitute for dedicated team of pen testers, of security auditors. Security specialists still will have different responsibilities, different scope, and deeper understanding, and might be able to find problems with infrastructure, cloud, configurations, which we may not be able to with our knowledge. But having the domain knowledge, we'll be able to find those vulnerabilities inside the application layer. So we would be a line of support that will maybe find 70, 80, 90% of the vulnerabilities. And that is a big value. That is, we are clearing the ground. We're leaving only those vulnerabilities that are deep, might be strictly connected with the technologies in the system, and that is really big value. During the external audit, the pen testers will not spend so much time finding quite like 20 basic security vulnerabilities, and they will focus on something more difficult. So our goal here is to find vulnerabilities in the same sprint as they were created. So during the testing, finding also creating new scenarios, creating something more creative, creating abuse paths to find vulnerabilities inside the same sprint that the functionality was created. And I wanted to show you a little bit of path I see to work on to be a quacker phonetics. First of all, we'll start as a quality engineer that will explore, that will ask questions, and that is very good. After some of the time, we'll dive deep into the testing. We will be experts in finding bugs, functional, non-functional maybe, and we'll be very good at reporting those issues. After some years or some additional knowledge gathered, we'll dive deep into the technology. So we'll be able to look under the hood. And after that, there will be start of seeing the little code smells, little smells of incorrect security, because looking under the hood might be the very important thing. But the most important thing that I said is the domain knowledge that we will get at another state. And this is something that no one besides you will have. I know from the experience that many of quality assurance engineers are the ones that have the most domain knowledge in the project, and much more than business analysts and than project managers and so on. Maybe not always, but sometimes you are the solitude, and that is very important thing. And from my perspective, that is the most important thing. And if we add to it some basic security understanding, we start exploring that. We start adding some new skills, some new tools, we'll be able to become a QhAcker. And I wanted to show you also how we as a QA were in the past and how the security is in the current nowadays and should be in the future. So in the past, the QA bunks, so the actions from the QA perspective on the software development was not so often. We had waterfalls, maybe not even called the waterfalls. We just hopped on, test, and get back after one release, and so on and so on. So we were not into the software development lifecycle, and we had not so much to do between those. Next, there will those are nowadays. So currently, QA is in the software development lifecycle, which is very good from perspective of quality, but in the same place right now is a security. Those are still like very not regular points of security audits, security tests, and that's also from experience. I've seen a lot of projects, and often it is even worse because that might be only the checkbox on the list from the project management to fill in before the release. And I know that those security audits still will have some value, but we're missing a lot from my perspective. And okay, this is how I think that should look like. The security and quality assurance should be parallel, should be in the software development lifecycle. We should be able to deliver security testing during that process. And even if there will be some places that will not be managed during such a cycles, then during the external audits, the scope of the verification will be much smaller, so the value and the quality of the work in the end will be much, much more efficient. So I will stop with the theory right now and hop into the real examples. I will show you 3 examples of really simplified exploits, really simplified ways to exploit the system even that you are working on. And I will start with the auth temporary. So Rafał is smiling, I think. Authorization, authentication is the basics of the security in the systems where our user must be authenticated. So it's the basics. It should be like a nephew or a niece to security itself. And to start with, I will have a question, and I think even Rafał can ask the question.
I already mentioned one of the questions.
He knows me so well.
Yes.
He already asked it. And
yeah,
I wanted to ask you, what is the difference? And I mean, one sentence. what is the difference between authentication and authorization? Please raise your hands.
Okay. The authentication is who we are, and authorization, what permission we have.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Join me after the lecture also. I'm all right. Okay. I'm it. So let's start with the basics of that process. We test a login page, and we're opening the DevTools and looking at the network tab. Here, I'm using a burp suite, but it's just only for the presentation reasons. I don't get me wrong. I love burp suite, but you don't need to have such a specialized tools for basic security testing. So we are sending the post request to API v1 auth login. With our login and password, it's just a standard, right? The server responds with the response 200. Okay, success. We're adding a request for, I don't know, for 01, for 03, and most testers would say, yeah, we can close this task, and just go for copyright. But not from our perspective, not from perspective of QhAckers. And we look at what the server really returned. It returned the JSON object with the token key and very long string of characters. This is our starting point. We are copying that token, and time for investigation. So we're hopping into, because the token and that authorization is based on the JWT. In this example, we're hopping onto JWT.io, which is just a page that we can search for. And we will be using this as a Swiss Army knife for working with tokens. And to let you know, I was and I am very skeptical of using the fixed software that can gather my data. So I really advise you, if you want to dive deep into working with tokens, with encoding, decoding, to use also CyberChef. CyberChef is the tool that you can deploy it on your machine and work with it just safely. But JWT.io also is safe to use because all of the encoding and decoding is done in our browser. So that's why even if we have some decoding to do, it is safe to use. But you can always be safer. So okay, data on the right, and JWT.io immediately decoded the header and payload for us. And in the payload, we can clearly see the sub, our email, and most importantly, the role. And the role is the user. This is the moment when our domain knowledge might scream, hey, if there is a user role, there might be a role like an admin or moderator or manager. Of course, such simple examples are in every good pen tester's workbook, but this is just an example, and in every example, the domain knowledge might limit our to spend. So we also see big red message, invalid signature, and this is the key moment. This error does not mean that the token is broken. It means that it is correctly secured with a secret key that we do not know, and we could work on that. We could guess it, but it will be very difficult. It will be almost impossible. But we can also take another path. To understand it, how to get around it, let's go into encoder tab for a moment in also GWT.io. And here we can see how such a token is created. We have our header with algorithm and our payload. But at the bottom, there is a field called sign GWT secret. And again, an error. Secret must not be empty. This visualizes the problem. And as long as we use any algorithm, we need to know the secret key to generate a valid signature. And we don't know it. So how to get around it? Well, that is the whole hack. In the header field, we just change algorithm and say, let's use none. Let's not use an algorithm. Look at the bottom right away. The secret field has disappeared. Since we said there is no signature algorithm, GWT.io no longer shows us the message. Now we have a free hand, and we go to the payload field and change the role from user to admin. And this is just on the basis of our domain knowledge, because we know that role exists. And our new malicious token has been generated right away. Note that it only has two parts, header and payload, and the dot at the end. And this is very important. There is no third part because there is no signature. So let's check if this request was compiled, and it was. And we used it. We can use it in, as I said, we can use perp, we can use Postman, Bruno, I don't know, Z-attack proxy, curl, what do you want? And at the top, you can see request. We send get request at the endpoint that we know from the domain knowledge. That is only accessed by the administrators. And it is admin users. In the authorization header, we paste our new token with the role admin and without the signature. And now in the response at the bottom, instead, 403 forbidden, we get 200 and full lists of users in the system, IDs, emails, roles, everything. Boom! We just got a full privilege escalation, and this is big critical vulnerability where we combine our domain knowledge with just the basics of security and basic knowledge how GWT token this works. Let's hop on to injections. And this is something, even if you are not related with security, you already heard of many times. Like, well, I suppose the most common are SQL injections. And that's why I will show one here. So this is the daily bread, right? We're using forms, we're using search fields, we're using filters everywhere. And in this scenario, there is also a search engine. We type in laptop for searching the devices. We're looking at the DevTools, and there is a GET request on product search with our parameter query laptop. The server responds with the 200 OK and returns a list of laptops that will meet our query. Test passed? Yes. We will add some new scenarios, functional scenarios to it, of course. And for regular QA, it would be the end of the tests. Everything works. We just complete it. And for the quacker, I suppose the fun just begins. The quacker looks at the query, looks okay. There is query equals laptop and thinks this string definitely goes somewhere, right? Like maybe SQL query on the server side. And the structure of the query might be select from products, maybe, where name like laptop in the middle. And maybe it should be worth checking if this path has input sanitization on the backend side. And we don't have to write complicated hacks right away. The first test is brilliant in its simplicity. What character ends a string in SQL? It's a single quotation mark. And let's just try adding it to our query. If the developers have secured this endpoint correctly, using most probably so-called prepared statements, there are other ways, most also delivered by the libraries, but most common are prepared statements. And then the application will simply treat laptop single quote as the search text and find nothing. It will return just an empty list. But if they haven't secured it, then we will get a bingo. The application crashed, we get 500 internal server error, and best of all, in a details field, the server itself tells us what error is made. And I have a question, which is quite simple, but there might be different answers. And the question is, should we treat every error, 500 error, as the issue that should be resolved by tweaking the implementation or the server configuration?
If you know the answer, please raise your hand. That one is tough.
So I guess that not all errors will be resolved by the developer, right? Some to be done by the settings of the server itself and configuration. Sure, yes, but what is the answer here? So the question is, okay, should we report every 500 error we get on our side as a QA? I find 500. I believe that we should. Okay, and I agree. Please join me after the lecture. Yes, I agree. I think every 500 error must be reported, should be reported. The root causes might be totally different, but it will be almost all the time something to be tweaked. Okay, let's get back. And the single quotation mark, I just broke the SQL query, and this is 100% confirmation that we have a place that we can inject the query. And this is the place where you don't have to even explore further. I will tell you what can be done even further, but at this point, you know that input, that field is vulnerable to SQL injection, and you can report it right away. You also have the space to test it in the future. So that is all we need. And to create such a payload, I will not go into detail because of the time, but we will use union to merge two queries and put malicious query in the second part of the query to find information about something that should be not obtained by us. And there are multiple ways to get information about schemas. There are multiple options to get information about quantity of columns in the table. But this is something on another lecture. Using such a payload, we will be able to get information how many columns are there, how the columns are mapped into JSON objects, and how it will return to us. We can just fill field, for example, two fields in objects that will be not important to us, like ID and price, and get other information from the query, map into totally different object, JSON object, and get that information freely. And that is another way to break the application. And third, and the last example of it will be insecure direct object reference. And I really am fond of that. I really love this vulnerability because during this year I had like 3 or 4 such vulnerabilities found in the systems that were already few times pen tested. And I'm not telling you that pen testers did a enough good job, because they did find a lot of fix. Like, they did not have enough time to get into the scope and such deeply, and that is really a value that I'm talking about. Let's hop into the either. I will tell you what is insecure data direct object reference on the example right here. We'll start with the happy path. I'm logging as a QA user. My manager has shared a sales report for my department with me. And yeah, I'm just clicking on the dashboard where I can access it. And in the DevTools in network, I see a request I sent to the endpoint. Report /1337. The server politely responds with the 200 OK and returns a response in application JSON format. And the front end will probably draw this report really nice. And let's look into that URL, report /1337. The number from the domain knowledge that we probably will have is a report ID that we can use. We can use to access something else maybe. And through the interface on the front-end side, you will probably not be able to, because you will see only the report that was shared. But maybe, just maybe, on the backend side, there is no such validation. And the system, it might be vulnerable to that. So let's look into that. Maybe we'll intercept the request, we'll change the ID, and we'll send it for other ID. We'll see if the reports, if something will be returned. But those are big numbers, and to manually search for that ID that will return something might take a while. So that could be automatically resolved, and that will be resolved by a perp suite intruder, which is also accessed by community version, so you can also try it. In perp suite, I'm configuring a sniper attack where I'm delivering the list of the potential IDs, like for example from 1 to 1,500, and he will just replicate the same request for other IDs, and then I will be able to see all of the responses. And the responses have different content length, right? So I suppose the response is different. And we are not met only with 403, like a forbidden. We also have a lot of 200s, which means they will the information, the data response with the with a lot of information that shouldn't be accessed by us. And let's check one of those responses. And here we see that one of the reports that was totally not accessed by us through the content was returned on the API side, which is the vulnerability of Ether. And from experience, I'm saying it is really very common, even in its current implementation in systems, and might be exploited really well by the adversaries. So that is a third example. And as a quacker, I wanted to just mention a little bit of automation that can help you. Because there is a lot of manual work to be included, exploring, using abuse paths, creativity, but you can also use some automation for basic bandwidth to save some time. And those are SAST, SCA, CIS, and DAST. And that is another question. That will be another question. And does anyone know what those symbols, those words mean? Each of them? Each of it, yeah. Can you? Yeah. We have what? Here. I think it's a one.
So the acronym stands for static analysis security testing and dynamic analysis security testing.
Almost. It is application security testing, but yeah, and there is dynamic and static. Okay, so we have two of those. Two remaining here. Wait for a microphone. Okay.
Software component analysis.
Almost composition analysis, but I totally get it. Yes, and I knew that this will be not known because I invented it. I just called it. It is container image scanning. It is another perspective to do SCA, because this will do scanning on the Docker image level, for example, and will scan also the system, the libraries. SCA will scan all of the external libraries that are used in your project. SAST are SonarQube, SonarLinks, any solution that will go through your code and just return the vulnerabilities from the code perspective. And DAST are popular vulnerability scanner that will work on your application level. So we'll do requests, might work in a passive and aggressive type. We can configure it. There are a lot of scanners. And those are the tools that will definitely generate a lot of value and a lot of false positives, but a lot of value. It is to start with security in the project. It will be a lot value to assess, even with those false positives that will definitely happen. And that is all from my side. This is my LinkedIn, and if you want, you can link with me. The topic is really deep, and to fit in such a small time frame, it's really hard. But I hope I at least interest you in that topic, and you will explore it by yourself in the future.
So, so big round of applause. We have a couple minutes for, I don't know, 1 or 2 questions. So if you have any question,
Please raise a hand.
exactly.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, exactly. But if not, of course, you can catch Karol.
Sure.
Come on, give us some questions. I have so many gifts.
Oh, yeah, we have one.
Running.
Yes.
I have a question about those SAST and DUST. How do you handle false positives?
And I recently started exploring, because I have some experience with AI also. I started to reading the documentation of the tools that will also introduce some analysis of those false positives by the AI. And currently, I not in the position to recommend it, but there are some promises that can be met. But before it, the false positives were managed by me just by tweaking the rules. And I was just entering the project review. I was talking with the project developers. We were going with the implementations types, and we came up with, okay, that is definitely false positive. I was just tweaking the rule set on the scanners, and then we were just continuing the work on the new rule set in the new iteration. One more.
What is this security standard that you would recommend to follow?
There is no one miracle standard to follow.
Top 1, 2.
It really depends how mature is your project, how mature is your company, and how skilled are your people, and in what branch of work are you working? Is it automotive?
Oh.
Is it healthcare?
Industry.
Industry. All right. There are so much to work on and administrate, or even from of us recommendations, a lot of those. If we would look from the company perspective, maybe we should start from an ISO 27001, like a basic. It's not technical thing to introduce, but it will settle up some processes that might be layered up, leveled up to introduce some technical expertise inside those processes, and continue to deliver some more value.
Okay. So thank you, Karol, once again. Big round of applause.
Thank you.